Welcome, willkommen, bienvenue. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Chris Vitali, and you're back with Totally Baseless, where we go inside the minds and outside the lines with some of the best baseball guys in the biz. I am joined today by a buddy of mine that I think you may know from the Yankees pre- and post-game shows, field reporter for Yes Network, or if you're an NBA person, the Brooklyn Nets or the New York Liberty, pretty much the Swiss Army knife of the Yes Network. The glue.
I like that. I'm the DJ. I'm the DJ LeMahieu.
There you go. The DJ. La macchina in Italian there. It's by thing.
There you go.
I'll go with it. Anyway, Chris Shearn's here. How you doing, buddy?
I am fantastic. I just want everybody to know that this knucklehead shows up in New Jersey around Christmas time.
I do.
And now look, you have to understand something. I'm half Italian. Chris, I believe you're all Italian.
75%.
But I'm half. Yeah, well, there you go.
Close
but I'm half Italian. If you have 50% Italian in you, especially if it's your mom who's 100%.
Oh yeah.
And I hear that as much as possible. She carried me for 9 months, so I'm 100%, but I'm really not. That would be that'd be messed up for my dad's side of the family, who's Irish. But anyway. He pulls up in my driveway at my parents' house, at my mom's house, and he was going to sit in the car and just hand me the shirt he brought me. I said, what is wrong with your DNA structure right now? You're not pulling up in my mother's driveway on Christmas Day and you're not having brajol. You're having meatballs. You're having ziti. You're having everything. So you even had dessert. We had a great time. I love the fact that you made the time to come over. It was great. You chopped it up with my brother, who's a catcher like you were. We had a great baseball discussion, and I'm sure we're going to have one of those here today.
Absolutely. And listen, of course, the Italian guilt kicked in where, I was like, I don't want to bother these guys.
Well,
They're having
you
dinner.
know what? There's that too. You always play like the Sebastian Maniscalco. You always play the thing where, no, I don't want to impose. Oh, okay. Ziti, oh, yeah, fine. Cavadillo, yeah. Sure.
And just so everybody knows, the brajol was, obviously that's always my favorite, but my God, that was good. And, and the thing is, by the time I got to where I was going to eat Christmas dinner, it was too late. I didn't eat anything. I was stuffed.
No, you did. I saw your posting on Twitter. You had more dessert wherever the hell you
Well, yeah. No, I did. I had a bunch of dessert and a cigar.
Yeah, I turned to my mother. I was like, where the hell is he putting this? Oh, my God. But, yeah, it was fun. And hanging out. And whenever we text or whenever we talk to each other on the phone, it's always baseball related. I know I'm locked into the NBA right now. But baseball's in my DNA. It's in my bloodstream. And I was really looking forward to this today.
Well, I'm glad because you're stuck here now. So
I know.
But and we're going to get into baseball in about 30 seconds, but we'll maybe a minute, the way we talk. But, we're recording this on Friday morning, at least morning here in dreary, chilly Southern California. But, news came down this morning that Sports Illustrated they just fired their entire staff.
Yeah.
So it's done. And Chris, we're about the same age. So I wanted to ask you, I'm sure you're like me. I'm sure you had a subscription to it when you were a teenager.
100%.
I know I did.
Got the football phone and everything.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, what was your favorite part? The football phone or the swimsuit issue? It's kind of 50-50 for me.
Both.
Yeah, it's 50-50 for me. But, it's the end of an era, some of the best sports photography and stories and writing that we grew up with. Obviously, it was before the internet. It was before you can go get anything you wanted at the tip of your fingers on your phone. And just sad to see, but, at least we got the football phones, man.
Yeah, this is the thing. Kids today, and I know I sound like the old man yelling at the cloud. I'm like Grandpa Simpson. I'm just pumping my fist at the cloud or whatever. But I don't think kids will truly understand. You don't understand. Like when my Wi-Fi goes out at my house, my two kids don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. Meanwhile, my wife and I, she was born in 1980. I was born in the early 70s. And we're gonna go downstairs and watch a DVD. You want to watch? And their brains are scrambled, like they don't know what to do without their phones. And they don't understand, like they don't understand, and kids today just don't understand, like everything wasn't at your fingertips. If you wanted to get a sports score from the night before and you didn't want to wait, like if the Yankees were on the West Coast, let's go there. Say they're playing in Seattle. You would wake up the next morning because you couldn't stay up because you had school the next day, and those games ended at 1:30. You woke up the next day, you got the paper, and it would say Yankees v Mariners, and then there would be an N in parentheses, which meant night. It was too late before the paper came out.
Yeah.
So they didn't even have the score. So I used to get absolutely destroyed by my father because when the phone bill came, yes, that was another thing too, boys and girls. Yes, 1313. Yes, I would call that. I would sneak out of my room, and I would 976-1313, and I would listen, and I would do their sports quizzes sometime, and I'll never forget. There was like a $5,000 prize, and I was on the last question. And Randall Cunningham's touchdown passes for the previous season was I put in 21. It was 24. And then I had to explain the long, ridiculous call to Sports Phone to my phone. But yeah, Sports Illustrated was just one of those things. Rick Riley.
Is
pretty much why.
And at the end of each issue where he would do
he was the last page. The last page. His stuff
hilarious
on the last page of Sports Illustrated. Now, look, that's not the only thing, but that was the main reason. Like Rick Riley was one of my inspirations to get into this business. So the fact that I saw that news on Twitter today, I'm just like, oh my God, it's the end of an era. And I have two words for you to wrap up Sports Illustrated. And they're two words that I know you'll know by heart. Elle Macpherson. Do I have to say anything else?
No.
Hello.
I may be in the camp of Kathy Ireland myself, but that's
okay. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Maybe her acting in the last issue was not. That might have been the kiss of death. It's still
her acting prowess in Unnecessary Roughness or Necessary Roughness.
It was Necessary Roughness.
The football, the Texas State Armadillos. Yeah. Yeah, she was great. Yeah. She was great in that.
Well, again, the end of an era, and it'll be missed.
Yep.
100%. Another thing from our teenage years just gone, but
another brick in the wall, as they say, my friend.
They do. So speaking of another thing that's gone from our younger years, the Yankees citing everybody imaginable. Now, if you look on X or Twitter or whatever the hell you want to call it, you still get the Yankees fans who think the sky is falling. I can't believe they haven't signed Hader. I can't believe they haven't signed Blake Snell. I mean, you look at what these guys are asking for. Snell wants like $270 million over.
Yeah.
Hader wants $200 million. I mean, that's insane to me. So
yeah,
I want to get into a little bit
for a relief pitcher,
and for Snell, who I get that he's won 2 Cy Youngs, but he's a 5 and dive guy. I mean, you really want to give $270 million to a guy who's going to give you 120 innings? Come on, that seems a little.
Yeah, you're peeling back a lot of layers to the onion. So let me start with the first layer you cut into.
Please do.
To peel back, because you're a bit of a chef. You're a bit of a chef
Retired.
As well.
Yeah.
As am I. Well, you're more than a chef than I am. I'm just an at-home chef, but I take very, very great pride in what I do.
I've seen.
But
your
anyway,
food.
having said that, here's the thing: if Yankee fans want to feel like the sky is falling, I have an idea. You and I need to get all the equipment we need to build a DeLorean with a flux capacitor. We need to pack them all into this DeLorean. I know it's going to be rough. Maybe we'll take We'll be like Richard Branson. Well, maybe I shouldn't
Hey,
even
I don't know
mention
about
his
that
name.
one.
He's in the news for all the wrong
Yeah.
reasons. But anyway, we know he was taking people like Elon Musk going to space, whatever. We take them back in shifts, and we could charge a lot of money to do this. And we could take them like, let's say Scrooged, the movie with Bill Murray. Okay, he goes and the Ghost of Christmas Past, who's Buster Poindexter, by the way.
Yeah.
Google it, kids. And then the Ghost of Christmas Present, and then the Ghost of Christmas Future. We could bring them back to 1982. Now, look, the
Ooh.
Yankees were one of the top one of the top teams, wins wise in the 80s. Let's not get it twisted. They were not terrible. However, from 1982 to 1995, they did not make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Count them with me. That's a lot of years. Yankee fans, I say this all the time.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I mean, 94 was, there was an extenuating circumstance there. I mean,
I was going to get there.
That, I mean, it was going to be Expos and Yankees in that, if that season. Okay. Sorry.
I was going to get there.
You got my blood pressure up, Chris.
Yeah, no. That's the year I went to the Hall of Fame for the first time with my parents. They took me, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. But the worst experience of my life, it was during the strike. And back then, I don't know what it's like now, but back then they had the standings posted, with the letters. It wasn't electronic, wasn't digital. It was actual people pressing letters into a pin board. So anyway, I go past this. I have a picture of it. I took a picture of it. It's probably in this drawer back here. Yankees Expo. I think the Yankees were 70-43, and it's frozen in time. I'm just recollecting from the picture. I hope I'm right, but I think they were 70-43. And for someone who grew up, now look, I was born in 73. I don't remember 77, 78 well, but I was around. I do, however, remember, unfortunately, when I was 6 and Thurman Munson passed away. Like, that's the first time I had to deal with death, and that was terrible.
Yeah.
But the Yankees and winning World Series, you have to remember, I don't remember 77 and 78. So my entire rooting fandom for this team, they didn't make the playoffs till 1995. And when they took the lead on the Mariners at home, Gary Thorne, every time I see him, Chris, every time I see Gary Thorne, and I love that man, what he did with hockey and his call on Don Mattingly's home run in 1995 against the Mariners, still, I got goosebumps now. It still gives me goosebumps. Yeah. Hold on to the roof. It just went through my body right now when I said it.
Yeah.
But they win that game. They go up 2-0, and we all know the story. And I was in college. I was wrapping up my senior year in college, and I remember vividly where I was. I was at my ex-girlfriend's house. She was my girlfriend at the time. She's definitely my ex. But I'm sitting there. I had my grandparents who used to start. They started my fandom. They took me to Yankee games from the time I was 5 years old. When the Bronx was burning, my 5-year-old little rear end was there. And they used to go to Italy almost every year. And they came home, and I'm showing you, no one else is going to be able to see it, but they brought me this cross back from Italy. I was on the bed clutching this cross when Ken Griffey Jr. slid in to home plate. I was despondent. The next year's 96.
Yeah.
The Braves go up 2-0, and they pasted the Yankees in game 1. Pasted them.
I remember.
So they go down to Atlanta. I know. They go down to Atlanta, and my goodness, it's just like, this is happening all over again. It's Michael Scott. I'm just setting myself up to be disappointed, or whatever the heck the line is from The Office. Fans that were born in 1990 have no idea the pain that people who were born in 1970, 73. And let's not forget, George Steinbrenner buying this team was the best thing that could have ever happened to the New York Yankees. Let's be honest, because with CBS, they were going, it was an atomic bomb of awfulness. George Steinbrenner single-handedly he brought this team back. And I know why fans get frustrated, and I know why fans get upset. It's because the Yankees are the Yankees. And when Hal comes out, when Randy Levine comes out, and anything less than a championship is not acceptable, they mean it. But when they don't get it, I understand fans get a little upset. They get a little uptight. But what they have to understand is we've played this sport. You can't win every year. You just can't.
Yeah.
It's not what they did in 98, 99, and 2000, especially in 98. You don't see that. You don't see three-peats how rare is a three-peat?
I mean, maybe in the 50s with the Yankees, but I mean,
that
was a way different era. I mean, that's a way different era.
I'm talking about now. I mean, it's almost impossible to do that. And everything has to break the right way. You have to stay away from injuries. So you have to take everything with a grain of salt. I know you want to win it every year, and I know the Yankees brass wants to win it every year, and they put a team on the field every season that gives them that opportunity. They do. Whether you want to believe that or not, they do.
No, I 100% agree. And again, as somebody who I believe I was about 3 years old, so I had to be like 77, 78, when my dad brought me to my first Yankee game. And that's when the last incarnation of Yankee Stadium was still new after the renovations and everything. And I don't remember much. I mean, I to be honest with you, I was so little. I mean, I got bored. I do remember the old scoreboard with the yellow lights and, Thurman Munson being announced.
Hitachi. The Hitachi
exactly.
Sign.
And so, but I mean, that's all I remember. I think I fell asleep in maybe like the fourth or fifth inning. I was 3, man. But
you're forgiven.
Then
Chris.
the 80s happened, and you thank you. And well, now I fall asleep for different reasons. I'm an old fart, but and then living through the 80s, and of course I still watch them. I loved Steve Balboni. I loved Rick Cerone. I loved Mattingly, obviously. I mean, there were plenty of guys to root for on those teams, but they were
Dan
terrible.
Pasqua.
And if you did not live through Dan Pasqua, Mike Pagliarulo.
Yes.
The Bobby Meacham, Dale Berra. They're running past each other, trying to score.
Oh, God, don't bring that up.
I won't. I still have nightmares about it. Sorry, I take it back. But you know what I mean? But so when 96 happened, I just have a real quick story about 96. That's back when I was in my touring musician days. I was, playing bass. We were on tour. Band was on Atlantic Records. Everything was fun. I'm a 22-year-old kid. Everything's great. And it actually, as it turned out, we played a show in Atlanta the night that the Yankees actually won that World Series. We played at this place called the Masquerade. There's a couple thousand people in the audience.
Wow.
I went on stage in my Reggie Jackson jersey and Yankee hat, just to kind of twist the knife. But our set ended directly, like right before the 9th inning. So I ran out to the tour bus. I'm like, screw this. I'm going to watch the end of the game. And we had a little shitty, kind of staticky TV on the tour bus. And I went out there and I'm sitting there. I see Charlie Hayes make that catch. And they won. I ran back out into the club on the stage where everybody's pulling our gear down. I'm still dressed like Reggie Jackson. I get on the mic like an idiot, and I'm like, "That's right, you mother!" Screaming at this crowd in Atlanta. And let's just say I had a couple beer bottles tossed at me, but it was completely worth it. It's completely worth it.
All right. While you're doing that, okay, let's do parallel universes here. I was working for MSNBC at the time.
Nice.
I had just started the gig. Okay, I was a production assistant. It was my first job in television. And it was our grand opening party at the Liberty Science Center.
Jersey City.
You could see the Statue of Liberty out there. Yeah, Game 6. That's what it was scheduled, Game 6. So me and a bunch of Yankee fans that I worked with were like, well, what are we going to do? Well, we have to show our face. They told us we have to go. So luckily, the Liberty Science Center had some television, so I was able to follow the game because this is pre-cell phones, and you couldn't just bring up the MLB app and like slyly watch it under the table while you were eating your appetizers. So I stayed for like 2 hours. The game was like in the sixth inning, and I had to go. And if you're from Jersey, you know what I'm talking about. I had to go from exit 14 ABC all the way down to exit 9 because my boys
Route 18
were in my hometown. Yeah, my boys were in my hometown, South River, at the South River pub. And I knew the game was coming to an end. I get there. It's the top of the ninth. I heard John Sterling and Michael Kay call the top of the eighth in my car and then the bottom of the eighth. I parked my car. I ran into the bar. It was the top of the ninth. The Braves were up. I just saddled up next to all my friends and family who were there. When Hayes gets under that ball, there were tears. We were jumping into each other's arms. This is a team you have to remember from 1982, like from when we could really remember. It was 14, 15 years of just heartache for 15 straight years. We thought we had a little magic with Donnie Baseball in 1995, winning the wild card, potentially doing something and using that mojo. They say the mystique and the aura, all through 96, through the run, it was the dynasty, the mystique, the aura, the core four. So, I mean, that night when they won it, the sheer joy. I mean, you were in enemy territory. That's the difference between these two stories. I was surrounded by love. You were surrounded by absolute hate.
Yeah, no, it's true. It didn't help that I was kind of an asshole about it too. I mean, I was not subtle when I was 22. Let's just put it that way.
But you have to remember, you were 22, and you have to remember there's a lot of pent up just frustration from years in the past. The year before, we were so close to getting there, and we didn't. And like I said, we thought we had that magic, and then all of a sudden it was just erased. It was wiped away. Like you were cheering. And by the way, Jack McDowell, if you're listening to this, really, I got nothing bad to say about David Cone, because Tony Bennett left his heart in San Francisco. David Cone left his shoulder in Seattle. That guy
good point.
Did everything possible. I think it was 147 pitches.
Unreal.
He put his life, his baseball life, on the line to get this team to the next round. And 96, it all paid off for him. But golly, I mean, I know I work with him now. To call him a colleague is like a pinch myself moment. To talk to him, to read his book that he and Jack Curry put together. Being a pitcher myself, I still think I am to this day, just like you think you're a catcher. But I mean, it's just, and people have to remember, the guys who grew up in that era, you and I, and tons of other fans, when we look, I tend to take Joe, and you know how I feel about this. We talk off the air about this all the time. And it goes back to Jason Stark's podcast with Doug Glanville and Joe Madden. And it's a great podcast, by the way. And I just happened to be listening to the one with Joe Madden after he got fired by the Angels. And I was at the gym, and there's a purpose for me saying that, because I was doing planks at the time. And as Madden is talking, I'm interrupting my planks to punch the floor because I agreed with him. And I just wanted somebody to say it. I wanted somebody to say it without getting that reaction from the analytic people. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. Joe Madden, okay? This is what he said. And this lives rent-free in my head. Information over imposition. That's the
solid
key
line
to using analytics.
Yeah.
Information over imposition. He wants the information. Only a stunad, if you're Italian, you know what that is. Only a stunad would refuse the information. Okay, let's be honest. If you love or hate analytics, You should take in the information. But as a seasoned manager who's been around the game for as long as he has and had success, the information should allow him to make informed decisions. His decisions,
And
not what
that's
some computer says
yeah.
in the heat of the moment in the game.
Yeah, and that's something where, I agree. And that's something where, analytics are a useful, very useful tool. I mean, you can go look at Billy Martin, who always had the data with him and things like that. I mean, it just wasn't called analytics. Yeah. Billy Martin loved the numbers.
No.
But look what he did. He had Billy ball and he coached with his gut as well. But I mean, any manager worth their salt is gonna look at those numbers and use them accordingly. And it's actually funny because evidently, as we are recording this, and we just spoke about him earlier, Josh Hader off the board, 5 years, $95 million to the Houston Astros. So there you go.
That's quite the dip from 200 million.
Well, but I guess shoot for the moon and take 95 million.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, right. But in any case, so now he's off the board.
The Astros get some bullpen help.
And they need it. I mean, it's still a lot of money for a reliever, but
it is.
Again, it's a far cry from 200 that Boris was asking for. But okay, so to get back to what we were originally trying to get to,
I'm sorry. I'm all right. I'm Mr. Tangent. Go ahead.
Listen, this is what happens all the time, so it's all right. With this whole sky is falling stuff. Let's just take a look at the American League East real quick, shall we? And the improvements that have been made to these teams.
Sure.
Okay, so the Yankees traded for Soto, signed Marcus Stroman, who, polarizing figure. But you know what? If I could learn to root for Roger Clemens, I'm pretty sure if he performs, I'll be a fan of Marcus Stroman. So I'm not worried about that. So that's like your top tier moves. Then you have some, you get Verdugo, you get Trent Grisham in there. Okay. Could they be helpful? Sure. You also have Carlos Rodon, who there's no way in hell he's going to pitch as badly as he did last year. You cannot convince me that he was not injured for the entire season. And I was one of the unlucky few to be in Kansas City for his last start, where he gave up 10 runs in the first without getting an out. So,
good for you.
I think he owes me a couple $100 for that one. But, but I have a feeling he'll be healthy coming back to form. He evidently he reported to Tampa early. He's in great shape. So I think he's got that guy's a bulldog when he's healthy. So, I'm looking forward to him coming back. So that's what the Yankees have done so far. A couple, smaller minor things like bringing Luke Weaver back, of course, but I think they'll probably go for some bullpen help. No?
Oh, 100%.
Maybe Wandy, he's still out there. We know he can pitch in New York.
And you know what you get out of him. He's under the big lights. He's under the bright lights. He's performed every single time that you put him out there. Yeah. You know what to expect. And I think that's what Aaron Boone needs. He needs to know what to expect. And if you bring a guy like him back into the fold, 100%. But to your point on Carlos Rodon, his previous 2 seasons with Chicago and the Giants, he won 13 and 14 games, and his ERA was 2.37 and then 2.88. Yeah. What you saw last season to me was an aberration. And to me, I remember there's another podcast. I'm not going to bring it up here because we're doing this podcast, but they brought up something saying that Rodon was not going to pitch the rest of the season, and his wife promptly tweeted back with some, I think it was expletives.
There were.
I'm not mistaken.
There were.
He came back. And I think you say what you want about him, the 10 runs he gave up in Kansas City, but I think this guy was pitching through pain all season.
The entire season. He was never healthy last year. He was never healthy.
He's one of the rare athletes nowadays, and there's a lot, but there's a select few who sign a big deal and then feel the responsibility of that deal. And he did everything in his power to be effective. He wasn't, Okay, the 6.85 ERA that he posted was the second highest of his career. He had an 8.22, but he only pitched in 4 games that year.
Yeah, it's easy to have an inflated ERA when you, yeah.
Right. So here, this is the basis of it. We know Marcus Stroman had to deal with injuries last year. He had a great first half, 9-6, ERA under 3. Second half, 1-3 and 8 games, 6 starts with an 8.63 ERA. In New York, you either sink to the bottom of the Hudson or you swim.
Yeah.
You got cement shoes or you fly high. Okay. And Marcus Stroman, look, something happened. And I know people think this is ridiculous to say. Something happens when you put that uniform on. It does. It does. And I know he's had some negative things to say about Yankee fans, maybe some negative things to say about the organization in the past. But once you put that uniform on, once you get there in that clubhouse with these guys and you know that everyone's pulling the rope, Aaron Judge's words, pulling the rope in the same direction, stuff could change. And this Yankees rotation, if you have a healthy Rodon who is in lockstep with Garrett Cole, it's scary. It really is. And if Stroman can be his first half self for most of the season, you and I both know every pitcher, whether it's your ace in Garrett Cole or your number 5 guy, Clark Schmidt, whoever that may be, they're going to have a game where they go out and they spit the bit.
It happens.
It's going to happen.
Happens to everybody.
I remember doing a game. Yeah, I remember doing a game with Garrett Cole. He was down 6-0 after the top of the first or bottom of the first against Seattle, in Seattle, not last year, the year before. So that stuff happens. The improvements the Yankees have made. Now, look, Giancarlo Stanton looks great. He trimmed down. I'm assuming he's not working out as much, which is good. To me, I'm not a kinesiologist. I don't know how you say that. But talking to former players who I'm very close to, a lot of these guys weren't in the gym after the game. I heard from reporters in Miami, after he would leave the game, after the game would end with the Marlins, he would go in the gym and work out for an hour.
Well, I mean, that comes down to accountability as well, too, which I think is also why people.
100%.
That's also why people really want Stanton to kind of come back, have a great year. I like Stanton. I always had, but he also is another guy. He doesn't shy away from a damn thing. You know, he'll stand out his locker. He'll take the questions and he'll say, "I know I need to be better." And I think that really kind of that helps. That helps.
That is the blueprint.
That little. It is. I mean, that'll absolutely endear you to New York fans. You come out, you say, "Look, I know I sucked. I did something. I need to be better. I know I need to be better, and this is what I need to do." And going back to your point about Stanton, being a little leaner and maybe training his off-season program, that's great because I do believe that some of these guys, they're not training for baseball. They're training for they're training for football. I mean, they're training for, they're not doing the right. And I think that's been Stanton's bugaboo. So, I don't know if his bat speed is going to pick back up. I don't know if maybe slimming down a little will do that. I hope it does. I hope he, maybe stops swinging at that slider down and away. But, I think Stanton will have a better year. I think he's just too good. He's got too much raw talent to have another year like last year.
And he's got too much pride, Chris. Let's be honest. It's
Absolutely.
not like that. It's not like that guy leaves the park at night after he goes over for 5 with 5 strikeouts and he's just strutting down the street. He's pissed.
Yeah,
he is. And the fact that the way you could understand that and the way you could realize that he is pissed is because he waits. He stands by his locker. I've known players that were on this team who spit the bit and then ditch the media.
Yep. Adios. I'm out.
Stanton doesn't do that. I'm sorry, he doesn't.
I mean, and that gets credibility points to me. Well, listen, man, we are kind of up against it here. So I have to start the pitch clock on you. and give you a little bit of a rapid fire questionnaire, if you will. This one's not about food for once, actually. But being that we're in the divisional round of the NFL, I want Chris Shearn's football picks for this weekend. You ready?
Good Lord. Sure.
This is for entertainment purposes only. Don't go betting on anything because we're not getting sued for your ineptitude. Just saying.
Hold on. I am a mush. I am worse than Francesa and Russo. So if you want to do yourselves a favor, whatever I say, go the opposite way, and you'll make. No, I don't want to say that. But whatever I say, think opposite. Just think opposite.
All right. So, okay, ready?
That's my FanDuel trajectory personally. So go ahead.
Perfect. Okay, ready? Here we go with Chris the Mush Shear. Okay, we're gonna go. First game: Texans Ravens. Who are you taking? And we're going straight up. I'm not dealing with spreads.
Baltimore, 1,000% Baltimore. I love what CJ Stroud has done for the Texans. I think this is a great learning experience for him. I think they play the Ravens tough, but it's in Baltimore, and I just think Lamar Jackson has a lot of people to silence, and I think they're going all the way to the Super Bowl, actually.
Agreed. I also believe this is Lamar's year. All right, so let's go. Second game. Packers 49ers. Because this could get weird, this one.
This one's... Yeah, it could get weird. You know what? I'm going Green Bay. I'm riding Jordan Love. I really am. I loved what he did. I loved what he did last weekend. Yeah. And I got to be honest. I would have never have done this if the game in Dallas was close. But this is why I'm doing it. And I talked about this when we were at Barclays Center with Frank Isola. I said, this kid looks like a poised, seasoned veteran. And Frank brought up a great point. Between Favre, Rodgers, and this kid, you could be looking at 4 decades worth of really good quarterbacks.
It's unbelievable how they just have a plan and they just pick the right guy.
Yeah.
They let someone sit behind the guy before him. And it's
exactly.
It's like army ants. It's crazy how they do that.
Yes.
I mean, my pick for that one, to be honest with you, I mean, I kind of think the Packers could pull it off. I don't know if they can, but at this point, why not? I'll go with it, But I'm also a mush, by the way.
I'm telling you right now, if I could get in successive weekends the Cowboys, Eagles, and 49ers out of the playoffs, I am a happy boy.
Yeah, I know you are. I know. As a Cowboys fan, believe me.
I know you're.
I know you let me know about that one too. So, but all right, let's go to Sunday's game, shall we? Before we get into that, okay. All right, Buccaneers Lions. Preferably, I mean, I'm kind of hoping for the Lions to move on, but who you got?
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm riding Jared Goff in Detroit. He's good enough for Detroit, as his head coach Dan Campbell said, and I want them to make the NFC Championship game for the first time since Barry Sanders. I think that was back in 1991 when they went up against Washington's national defense and the Redskins.
Oh, yeah, that was a nasty defense, man.
Yes,
and poor Barry. But I'm with you on the Lions on that one. And last but not least, we get the NFL's darlings, Chiefs and the Bills. Who are you taking in that one? In Buffalo.
I am taking
Mahomes on the road, that whole thing.
I am taking the off the top turnbuckle into a burning folding table Buffalo Bills Mafia, because one of my best friends from South River, Brian Sanborn, a quick anecdote. When the Giants beat the Bills in Super Bowl 25, as soon as Norwood missed that field goal, my phone rang, and all I heard was, Shearn, my hand was on the Bible. So I need Brian. He's first. I need Brian to get some Buffalo Bills joy, so I'm hoping they make the Super Bowl. I know I said the Ravens are probably going all the way, but I really want Buffalo to make it. And next after that is my Jet fan friends. They need some kind of joy in their life as well.
Well, I mean, you know what? Just wait till next year, I guess, is the story there. But, look, you have to admit, probably 3 long-suffering fan bases the Jets, obviously, but they're not in it. But, the Lions and Bills, I mean,
Yeah,
either
100%.
team really could use a damn Super Bowl.
I know it's not going to happen, but can you imagine if those two teams got to the Super Bowl? The stories you would have for 2 weeks, the fan bases going back and forth for 2 weeks, and one long drought for one fan base is going to be over. It was fun, Mr. Vitali.
Yeah, so it was fun, Mr. Shearn. And, eventually once we get a little closer to spring training, I would love to do it again, and we'll talk a little more about the AL East and what has happened in the offseason. But for now, I want to thank you, Mr. Shearn, for coming on.
It's my pleasure. And as the kids down the park say, like we used to when we were playing basketball, we will definitely run it back.
We will run it back for sure.
Before the season starts.
Make sure you say hi to everybody for me. And we will absolutely do this again. And I had a blast.
Sorry.
And so listen, I'm Chris Vitali. That's Chris Shearn. This has been Totally Baseless. And we will catch you next time with more of whatever the hell we feel like talking about. Adios, muchachos.